I'm back for another segment of today's show. Archer Monologues with D. McClung. That would be me. We're looking through the headlines, the various newsletters I get every day, like the Independent Journal Review, which is, if I wanted to be nasty, I could just call it a zealot, Republican, fanatical, freaking neocon, moron, freaking rag. But still, I get it, and I look at it, and I read some of the articles, and it's frustrating because they slant everything towards that stupid direction that Christians and other zealot nincompoops, ninja warriors. Anyway, I found this one. Trump bashing Amy Schumer, comedian, is accused of racism after latest video mocks Beyonce. Well, Amy, I've seen some of her concerts on Netflix, and she's kind of, sort of funny, a little bit. Not hilarious. She's not George Carlin funny. She's not Bill Hicks funny. She's just, whatever. So, between advocating for gun control reform in America and bashing Donald Trump as an orange sexual assaulting fake college starting monster, the 35-year-old has shown that she isn't scared of getting into hot water with the bowling. But her latest video has people shouting racist at the self-proclaimed Democrat and Hillary supporter. Okay, excuse me. End quote, by the way. She supports Hillary. Well, tells you something, doesn't it? She supports that piece of shit cunt biscuit. With all of the evidence that proves that Hillary Clinton is a liar, a traitor, a terrorist, a psychopath, blah, 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 yawn and on and on. There are people still supporting that monster. As I noted earlier in my previous show, Hillary seems to be linked directly to the murder of 74 people in Waco. Remember Waco? Burn them alive. 74 people. Innocent people. 21 of those, I think it was 21, were children. Now I'm assuming when they say children, they mean children and adolescents. Since children are under 12, prepubescent, and after that they're adolescents, which is two different classifications of biological reality. At any rate, Hillary Clinton, directly related, according to the information we have, with that murdering episode of 74 people in Waco, Texas. Alright, let's see what else it says. Talking about the comedian Amy. I don't really want to... I don't like to condemn somebody completely. Like, I like to listen to comedians. They're funny, they make me laugh. Some of them, more than others, and some really aren't that funny. It's like the somebody's in hot water. Like to say Bill Cosby. A lot of charges have been leveled at Bill Cosby for sexual things and rape and so on. And I have no factual evidence to support the theory that he actually did that, but there's a lot of evidence that suggests that we should think about it. But my point here is this. Bill Cosby, I've been listening to him, I've been laughing at him, with him for decades. His job was to be a comedian, and he entertained us, and me particularly. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed his shows. I enjoyed being entertained by him and laughing at his jokes and so on. That's his job, and that's all I care about. I mean, his personal life, his shortcomings as a man, his crimes, if any crimes have been ever committed by him. I'm not saying there have been or haven't been. I'm not going to go there because it doesn't matter. It's not the point. What the point is, his job was to entertain people, and I happen to be one of those people. And he entertained me, and I appreciate that. Now, what he did in his private life or in his bedroom or, his personal human existence is beside the point. Now, I can have an opinion about him and his character if these allegations are true. And I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. I really don't care to make a conclusion in that regard. I might have a tendency to agree that maybe they're true, and I also might have a tendency to say, not my business. I wasn't there, I'm not involved, it has nothing to do with me. Now, that's not to say that I'm not empathetic or that I don't care about other people, because I do, very much. But I'm speaking here of personality, a celebrity, a person who is well known for, let's say in this case, being a comedian. I don't have time to hate on every single human being on the planet. And God knows I probably have a reason to hate on millions of them. But personal issues don't concern me too much. Not my business. I don't need to say in the matter. I mean, if he raped me, then I would be personally involved, and I would say, oh, he raped me, and I don't like it. And it was like a crime or something. But I have no first-hand knowledge. I have no first-hand experience. And it's not really my business. It's between those people who may or may not have been raped and Bill Cosby. It's for them to work out. It's not. I don't really have the desire. I'm not one of those, what do they call it? Voyeurs. In this case. There are a lot of things that people do in private, personally, that may involve other people on a personal level, private, and those things are just not my business. Doesn't affect me. Has nothing to do with me. I wasn't there. I'm not a perpetrator of a crime. I'm not a victim of a crime. It's between those two. The crime involves the two people involved in this case. The alleged rapist and the alleged victim. It's up to them to deal with that. I don't need to know those details. I'm not saying they should be kept a secret, and I'm not saying that there shouldn't be broadcast as news, but it doesn't raise to the level of world news. It's just personal problems with personal people. They need to deal with that personally in the proper channels and so forth, as perhaps they are doing. But I still think Bill Cosby is a good comedian and funny and entertaining. And me, personally, that's the only involvement I have with that situation. I mean, Bill Cosby is not a brain surgeon, so I'm not interested in his abilities to perform brain surgery. if he was a doctor, a brain surgeon, and I needed brain surgery, and hey, Bill, I need brain surgery. And someone told me that, Bill Cosby is a brain surgeon, but you also should know that he also raped some people, back 20, 30 years ago or whatever. That might taint my decision as to whether I want him to do brain surgery on me or not. But it shouldn't. I should investigate him. I should do some research on him and find out what kind of brain surgeon is he. Is he good at being a brain surgeon? I mean, has he had lots of patients? Have they all got better? And has he saved their lives? Has their lives improved as a result of him being a brain surgeon? Yes. Well, you'd probably conclude, yeah. He's performed, a zillion brain surgeries, and they've all been saved, and the brain surgeries were successful, and he's very good at being a brain surgeon. But then someone tells me, the brain surgeon, Dr. Bill Cosby, he had an affair. Oh, by the way, I don't like the word affair. It's not a very accurate word to use. And I think, at some point in Dr. Cosby's life, he might have done something not good, not nice, not even legal. He might have done something like rape somebody, 20, 30, 40 years ago. But the fact is, the question is he a good brain surgeon? And in comparing this to his comedy is good. He's good at comedy. He's good at presenting comedy, good at being an entertainer. So if he's a good surgeon, that's all I'm interested in. Because what he does is when he's not performing brain surgery on me, not my business. So just wanted to say that. Throw that in there. So back to the comedian, Amy Schumer. All right, turned out that the Amy thing was kind of a dud. I mean, she's mocking people like Beyonce. She's mocking Black Lives Matter, and she's a supporter of Hillary Clinton. So, Amy, personal note to you, Amy, you're a fucking idiot. And you're not that funny. All right, moving on. All right, another little tidbit. Miley Cyrus says seeing terrifying Donald Trump campaign posters in her hometown was a wake-up call. Oh, God. Well, the terrifying sight, as she describes it, was even enough to inspire her to personally hit the campaign trail for Hillary Clinton over the weekend. Alright, so now we have Amy, the comedian, who's not that funny and an idiot. And now we have Miley Cyrus, who is not all that smart, campaigning for Hillary the crook, Clinton. And so there's two people that are like on my shit list. Because they're just not bright. They're just not very smart people. And it's sad. It really is. So, I'm flabbergasted. So, Miley Cyrus says, I saw one Hillary poster in a sea of terrifying Trump supporters and posters. This election has been super hateful, not only for the nominees themselves, but within our own community. When I post support for Hillary on Instagram, I can't believe the hate I get. You can't believe it? It seems like you're just talking to different people that live on different planets. Oh, really? Talk about living on a different planet? The singer showed some support via Instagram on Sunday when she sent a colorful invitation to anyone not voting for Clinton. Oh, and there's a picture of her bent over, with her head between her legs down below, and her butt in, what do they call them? Yoga pants, tight pants, whatever you call it. In other words, I think the comment is, kiss my ass. So if you're not voting for Hillary, I can kiss her ass. Well, guess what? I'm not going to kiss your ass, bitch. I might kick your ass. I might even slap you upside the head a couple times. Because basically, you're offensive. And, I may or may not like her music, her singing. Don't know if I've even heard any of her songs. Don't know if I've ever seen her perform. Well, maybe once somewhere. I don't remember where. Maybe in some football game halftime show or something. I don't remember. Not that rememberable. And besides the point, she might be an entertainer, and if she does a good job of entertaining people, then that's her job. But if she's got to go around being a supporter of politicians, then, I by the way, I don't mind people. Celebrities have a right to speak and use their right to freedom of speech like anybody else. And they have the right to say whatever they want, even if it's stupid. And when they do say something stupid, then I kind of say to myself, that's stupid. And then I come to some conclusion. She might be a good entertainer, but otherwise she's brain dead. Voting for Hillary Clinton, my ass. Ow! Damn cigarettes. They drop ashes and burning fire on my hands and shit. Defective product. So where was I? Reportedly, in an effort to look like an American flag, Miley was filmed walking around campus knocking on dorm room doors. And she was doing what? Knocking on doors and campaigning for Hillary Clinton. Oh, God. I don't think she wants to come to my door. I really don't think she would want to come knock on my door. I bet her father is proud of her. Not. Other Clinton supporters. Katy Perry, Jennifer Lopez, Jean Bon Jovi. What? Jean Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi! Hey, Bon Jovi. And even Oprah. Oh, excuse me. I remember when Oprah was in a conniption with celebrating the election of Obama. She hasn't learned her lesson yet. She probably still thinks Obama's a cool dude. I don't have any respect for these people. Obama supporter. Oprah. Sorry, Oprah, you might be the richest woman in the world, but you're still a bitch. And stupid, and ignorant, and ridiculous, and absurd. And, sorry. It's a personal opinion. The evidence seems to think here that show that Hillary is a psychopath, a liar, a killer, a murderer, mass murderer, committed crimes against humanity as Secretary of State. I mean, come on. So anyway, Miley Cyrus, another one of those foolish people. All right, moving on. I just want to say something here. I frequent Facebook, Google Plus, and some other social media sites, and unfortunately, I sometimes allow myself to get involved with discussions with other members of these sites. They say something, and then I have to say something. I feel compelled to say something. Probably not the best thing for me to do. I find myself arguing with people. And I know better. As people have pointed out, I'm smarter than that. I should be smarter than that. I should say, I just shouldn't do that. I shouldn't allow myself to get drawn into these arguments, these bickering contests. I should have a little bit more self-control, a little bit more self-discipline. But ever since the internet, ever since I've been on the internet, it's about 15 years now, I've gone onto the websites, like Facebook and so on, and I get involved in these argument type situations. And I've stated it many times. I've said, I don't argue, I don't bicker, I don't engage in pointless discussions or frivolous debates. By the way, discussion and debates is pretty much the same word. Anyway, I get drawn into these lengthy discussions. I express my views. I get accused of all kinds of nasty things simply because I expressed my view. I expressed a logical, calculated conclusion. And people argue. Americans love to argue. Maybe other people in other countries love to argue too. I don't. Mostly I get Americans who like to argue. Everybody thinks their opinion is equal to mine. More accurately, they think their opinion is equal to my calculated logical conclusion, or equal to my critical analytic observation. They think their opinion, their subjective, emotionally hysterical, unfounded thoughts are equal to factual, logical positions or statements. For example, someone accuses me of expressing let me put it this way. I said something, I made a statement, it was a factual, logical, truthful, accurate, sound statement. And someone inevitably says, that's just your opinion. That should be a clue to me right then and there to just stop talking and just move on past that. Because if that's what they think, if they think that their opinion is equal to a factual statement, then obviously I'm wasting my time trying to talk with that person. And that's basically why I do monologues nowadays. And I have kind of moved away from the argumentative situation that you find on, say, Facebook or Google Plus and so on. Because it's a waste of time. It's pointless. Because you cannot reason with unreasonable people. You cannot argue with fools. It's pointless. It's a waste of time to think. In fact, it's insanity to think that if you keep talking and keep telling people the truth, and even if you keep repeating it over and over and over again, that they are suddenly going to come to, consciousness and develop an intellectual capacity in their brain and realize that what they said in their argument, or they're presenting their side of the story, whatever it may be, that suddenly they became intelligent, brilliant, able to read and understand English kind of people. I suppose at some point in my life, in my younger days, I believed that if you actually told people the truth, they would say, well, they would be just amazed. They would just, if they didn't know the truth, or if their thinking was skewed in some way, that they would just be overwhelmingly thrilled that someone actually told them the truth and told them something that is absolutely logical. And they would not, to my way of thinking, they wouldn't be foolish enough to keep repeating their foolishness. They wouldn't just keep arguing about something in an asinine way. They would say, wow, I've just learned something. I am now more knowledgeable about something, and I'm blessed to have been, enlightened. And I had the opportunity to change my mindset and become smarter and become more enlightened or educated on a particular subject. I thought they would be thrilled that, finally they heard something logical and rational and intelligent and factual, true. I thought they would be thrilled to be knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than they were before they read what I wrote or heard what I said. I actually believed that would happen. I was young and naive, and to some degree just a little bit delusional, because as I've grown older and matured and become more aware of my own mental processes and understood things better and seen things and have seen things in a brighter light. And I've come to realize that people are not going to change simply because they hear the truth, or simply because someone told them something that is absolutely rational, logical, true, proven, fact. For example, I've been preaching, I put the word preaching in parentheses there, little ghost marks in the sky there in front of me. Certain truths, certain factual things that have been proven to be true, that are absolutely logically sound ideas. I've been doing this for years. And I still get this argumentative attitude. They want to argue, they want to bicker, they want to put me down, sort of, as I see it, an attempt to just drag me down to their level. A socialist collective agenda thing there, because it is the agenda of these mind benders of the Matrix. And yeah, that's not some sort of theory, that's really exists. Because whatever the system is, it does form a matrix. So the word is like a small letter M in the case that I'm using it. And they want to argue. That they think that's, I don't know what they think. That's just, I've got to argue with him, no matter how intelligent he is, no matter how smart he is, no matter how much truth he tells us. I got to argue with him because, I have the right to argue with people. And this notion that everyone has a right to their opinion or have the right to express their opinion is bullshit. But can't convince them of that. So, my point is, I get drawn into these long argumentative discussions. They say something, I read what they say, and I analyze what they say. And I'm good at it. It's my occupation. It's what I do. I can find the flaws in their thinking. I can find the defects in their language that they use to express their thoughts. I can see the root cause of their confusion or the reason that they think the way they think about something, because they've been indoctrinated, manipulated, brainwashed, conditioned. And they've fallen victim to this mind bending perpetuated upon them by the evil elitists. And I have found that once a person has gone stupid, they're just gone. They're lost. There's no way to save them. There's no redemption. No amount of truth is going to save them and get them to turn around and change their mindset. The irony is, somebody succeeded in brainwashing them or manipulating their minds into this negative or this false notion area. Like the government. Like the public school system. Like religious fanatics. And I think the reason that these mind benders are so successful in indoctrinating people and manipulating them and jerking them around, basically, is because they have more power. They have more tools at their disposal than any one individual non-government person has. For example, the government has indoctrinated the whole population of America, pretty much. I can't put a figure to it, I'd be guessing. But let's say roughly 90% of Americans believe that the only way to be legally married is to get a license from the state and join the fraudulent marriage program that the government has invented out of thin air. Basically back many years ago for fraudulent means, purposes. I'd say 2, 3 generations of Americans was all it took to totally indoctrinate the population to this idea that state marriage is actually real marriage and the only way to get really married, be really married, legally and so on. And I know better. I know differently. I see what happened, and I can tell you that the American people have been overwhelmingly indoctrinated, conditioned, manipulated, brainwashed, if you wish to use that word, into believing that state marriage is actually marriage, that it has anything whatsoever to do with marriage. It just it didn't exist that way before. Abraham Lincoln was perhaps the last person, the last president who to not be state married. All the presidents before him, it never occurred to them, I imagine, to even think about getting the government's permission to get married, be married, live as a married person with another person. They probably never occurred to them. Like, I'm going to ask the state for permission to exercise a natural human right. So the mind-benders got to work back in, let's say, 1860s, so forth, back in that era, when they realized that slavery was soon to be ended. They, well, how are we going to keep the Negroes from marrying the white people? Come up with a marriage program, as if that's going to stop people from cohabitating. And of course, they passed laws like it was illegal to cohabitate with a person of the Negro race or the white race if you're a Negro person. Negro. I'm using the terms from then, not now. And I'm not going to use the word black because most people are not black. Even people who are dark-skinned are not black. Few, not very many. Africa, mostly, not America. It's rare to be black. You can be brown. And then there are the beige-colored people, like me. But this idea that state marriage is the only way is just absolute nonsense. American people have been duped, conditioned, contaminated, manipulated, indoctrinated with this nonsense that state marriage has anything, it's just absolute nonsense. But 2-3 generations convinced practically every American that that's the way it's done, and that's the only way it can be done, and that's the only legal way to be done, and that's just bullshit. I know differently. Because I've studied it a bit, I've done some research, and I've come up with the reality of it. I've come up with the truth of it. I've come up with the substantiated facts on the matter. But the question is, how do I convince, say, 300 million Americans that this blind obedience to this fraudulent marriage, government marriage program, like food stamps, it's not real. They just made it up. They say, we'll just start this program and convince people over a couple of generations that this is what they got to do if they want to be married. And just basically brainwash people until there's, perhaps at some point in America, 95% or even more of the American people thought, I got to get a license before I can get married. You don't need a license. It's a right. You don't need the government's permission to exercise a right. That's just silly. But they choose to ignore that fact and say, I got to get a marriage license. Well, you don't. And you can be married simply by saying, you want to be married to me? Sure. Okay, then. I want to be married to you too. So, we're married. And you can go through a little ceremony if you want to make a commemorative day of it. That's fine. Ceremonies are just ceremonies. They're nothing legal about them. It doesn't make the marriage any more valid. It's just simply sort of a celebration of what you intend to do with another person. Be married to them, live with them, have a family with them. And there's other elements of that are kind of silly, but I won't get into that. And my point is, the government succeeded in changing people's mindset from, oh, I want to get married, I'll just, go through this little ceremony with the priest or preacher or next door neighbor or whoever wants to officiate over the wedding ceremony, which anybody can do. I can do it. I can officiate over a wedding ceremony, which is not a marriage ceremony, it's a wedding ceremony. Wedding is the word to describe the ceremony. Marriage is totally something different. The question is, how do we get people to become aware and wake up and be enlightened to the reality, the truth of the matter in regards to same-state marriage, which is a fraudulent scheme to incorporate people, which is a privilege, not a right. So why would anybody trade the right to marry for the privilege of being a member of the government program, which is not marriage? So you say, how do we do that? How do we get people to stop believing lies and delusions and fraudulent schemes and wake up to the reality is if you have a right, that can't be modified or altered or changed or regulated or limited or licensed or taxed or forbidden or made legal or illegal. It's a right. It's like I have the right to breathe. I'm not going to ask the government for a right to breathe. I have the right. It's not a privilege to breathe. It's a right, and I can do it as I please. And I can hold my breath if I want because, that's my right. So what I'm saying is, how do we change people's mindset back to, being logical, rational, thinking human beings and free to live their lives as free people? It's difficult. So I'm coming up on the end of this segment. And that's the question I want to present. How do we enlighten people, us people who have done the research and studied the logistics and come to logical, rational conclusions, factual conclusions, and critically analyzed our observations of the world, reality, and express those in our native language, which is, in my case, English, and get people to think about these things and come to their senses, so to speak, and wake up and be smart. All right, I'm going to stop here, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. They have been brainwashed by the system, the people, the establishment, the status quo, the government. And we need to counteract that by educating and enlightening them back into reality and truth and come to some understanding of what's really going on. And so that's the question. Been trying to figure that one out for many decades. Probably never will, but it needs to be done in order to save humanity from their own foolishness and stupidity and ineptitude, and save them from the evil, elitist controllers, manipulators of society. All right. Keep on keeping on. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.